Hare Krishna. I'd like to offer my homage to His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu. The first time I heard about Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajanghri Prabhu was in 1994. I was listening to a lecture by His Grace Devamrit Prabhu, who is now His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, and there he mentioned that there are these two disciples of Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur Dham, where they sit in the Bhagavatam class of a Bengali lecture also, and when they were asked, why do you do not understand Bengali language, so why do you sit in the Bengali Bhagavatam class? And they said, well, the speaker may sometimes take the name of Krishna, sometimes Chaitanya, Radha, Nityananda. So we hear these holy names and we get purified. And so that was something which really struck. That was like one of the first lectures that I heard in the beginning of my Krishna consciousness. And I was very much struck by the pure devotional attitude of Pankajanghri Prabhu, Jananivas
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu ki jai. So one of my first services that I was asked to render by His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu was writing of the Narsingha Kavacha, for the Narsingha Kavachams that we wear. So for that, Pankajanghri Prabhu gave me the service in Mayapur back in 1996. I had started this service, where on silk paper we write in Sanskrit. We have to write the Narsingha Dev Bija Mantra. And Pankajanghri Prabhu asked me whether I know Sanskrit, and somehow I did, and then he told me that this mantra has to be written in Sanskrit, and I would write those mantras, cut them out in silk paper, very special paper. He would give me rolls of that paper, and then after writing each mantra, then I would cut them, and then several of them every day, right after Darshanarti, when he would give Narsingha Dev Shatari on the head, that time I would offer the mantras to Pankajanghri Prabhu. So I felt very, very close in this way to serve, in this way with Pankajanghri Prabhu.
And then a year later, I read about them in the Back to Godhead magazine when the article came, and Pankajanghri Prabhu, Jananivas Prabhu, they were sitting on top of the Hathi procession with Sri Radha Madhava, and all the details were given. That was very inspiring. So I first heard about them, then I read about them, and then in 1997 I got a chance to meet them when Srila Radhanath Maharaj, he took a yatra to Sri Mayapur Dham, and that's when I had their darshan. I had Pankajanghri Prabhu, I was participating in a dialogue between a devotee and Pankajanghri Prabhu, and I was just appreciating Pankajanghri Prabhu at that time.
Later, I was also asked by His Grace Jananivas Prabhu to start making jewelry. This was actually 1997. Radhashtami was the first time that I made jewelry for Shri Radha Madhava on Radhashtami day. And then from then on, Pankajanghri Prabhu said that I should make jewelry for Radha Madhava and for Lord Narsingha Dev as well. So I started doing that service, and I felt very, very fortunate to be able to do the service for making the jewelry of Sri Prahlad Narsingha Dev and for Sri Radha Madhava.
Then I met him personally, actually in 2001, when just after our marriage in Sri Mayapur Dham with Kalasudha, and we were about to leave Mayapur, and the day before we were leaving Mayapur, we actually wanted to meet Pankajanghri Prabhu, Jananivas Prabhu, and we went to him, and I was feeling a little bit guilty that I'm taking Kalasudha away from Sri Mayapur Dham, and so I expressed that to them, and I said that even yesterday when we went to the Goshala, I saw that the cows and the calves, some of them were holding on to with their mouth to Kalasudha's sari, and that made me feel more guilty that, I'm the cause of taking her away. And so both the brothers, they laughed about it, and then they became serious and they said, well, Mayapur is not just a place, it's a state of consciousness. And the way that they said that way is still stuck in my mind. And the gravity with which they said, Mayapur is a state of consciousness. If we, wherever we are, if we share Krishna consciousness on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on the order of the Guru Parampara, and always remember Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, then that's where Sri Mayapur Dham is. That really struck us. And then we asked them for some instructions. So they said, well, if you want to develop good devotional relationships amongst yourselves, then every night you should read Krishna book together. And so that was something of an instruction which we were very, very grateful for. Even now, even if it is a paragraph that we have time to read for, we do make it a point to read it together. By the mercy of His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu and Jananivas Prabhu.
One time in 1997 was the first time during the summer that we were going to go to Vrindavan from Mayapur. It was the first time that we would be visiting Vrindavan in our entire career, devotional career. And I remember just a few days before we left for Vrindavan, even His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu had to leave Mayapur and he had to go to UK for his visa purpose. He had to leave for some time. So, and then after a few days even we left for Vrindavan, and I remember it was Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi day, and that particular day we were in Haridwar, and I remember that I had chanted some extra rounds, done Nirjala Ekadashi fasting, and then I just took some rest during the day, and at that time it was around afternoon, and I felt as if I was in front of Lord Nrsingadev in Mayapur Nrsingadev temple. And the temple door was about to close in the afternoon, and Lord Nrsingadev's eyes were very, very drowsy. It was as if he is about to sleep. He was wearing a yellow silk chadar on himself, and it seemed as if he was ready to go for his afternoon nap. And the door was just about to close, and then I just came running to take darshan, and then Nrsingadev said, "Oh, stop, open the door." And then the door suddenly just opened, and then I could see Nrsingadev, and Nrsingadev just motioned to me like this, come inside. And then I'm looking back here and there, if it is, what is Lord Nrsingadev trying to do? And then he said, I'm calling you, come. So then I went inside the altar, and he said, this Pujari who is taking care of me now that Pankajanghri is not here, Pankajanghri Prabhu would give me Pankajanghri would give me such nice massage every day before putting me to rest. And he taught this brahmachari also how to do the massage, but he doesn't do such nice massage for me. Can you massage me? So at least today I can sleep nicely. So I said, Nrsingadev, if you want me to, I would love to. Thank you for engaging me in your service. I was feeling so grateful, and then suddenly I just saw that Nrsingadev is coming down the altar. Chum, he's coming down. And then he lay down on his bed and he just said, you can massage me now. And then I started massaging Lord Nrsingadev, and then he said, you don't have to keep massaging me. Once you hear me that I'm snoring, then you can stop massaging me. Then you can leave. So I said, okay, I nodded, and then I started massaging, and Nrsingadev started snoring. He started snoring, and when he was snoring, at that time, I said, okay, so now it's my hint that I must leave. So I remember right after that I woke up in Haridwar. Of course, I was in Haridwar at that time. But I remember when we came back to Mayapur, I just told Pankajanghri Prabhu about this. And Pankajanghri Prabhu said that yes, it is true, because he also, had a feeling that Lord Nrsingadev was not satisfied with the massages. So he was very happy that at least one day Lord Nrsingadev at least accepted this service. It was a very sweet gesture approved by His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu.
Then in 2009, I believe, Pankajanghri Prabhu came on a visit to North America, and he came to Houston and stayed at our house also. We were fortunate to host him for 5 days. And he would wake up in the morning for Mangal Arati. Even though it was just 3 of us, he would still enthusiastically perform the Mangal Arati, chant his rounds very attentively. We were able to get inspired by his intense sadhana. And he would like to sit near a fountain, a small fountain that we have, and water, he would say, just on the fountain, so the water would start trickling down. And that he said this noise, this sound of the trickling of water reminds him of Jamuna. He would sit in the place where there were so many books, and he would just chant there. And then even if it was 3 of us, he would give the Bhagavatam class very nicely and share realizations, which we were very, very grateful for. And sometimes, of course, he would give the Bhagavatam class in the temple as well. So in the reading room, in the reading library, he would just spend so much time there. And he told us, when we were driving him for some programs in Houston, he told us how he was introduced to Krishna consciousness in Bhaktivedanta manner. And then he came to Sri Mayapur Dham to join his brother, His Grace Jananivas Prabhu. And he was glorifying Jananivas Prabhu so much. Whenever we would ask about him, he would just glorify Jananivas Prabhu, glorify Srila Prabhupada. And we got a glimpse into his humility.
Our recent meeting with His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu was in 2019. Our last meeting with His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu was in 2019 in November, when we were in Sri Mayapur Dham. And we were inaugurating this home where 7 devotees families we got together, and we just made a small residence area where all of us can spend our time in Mayapur in our retirement. So this place was named by our spiritual masters as Bhakti Kuti, the forest of grace. So for the inauguration of this place, we had requested the Gurukul boys, and Gurukul Maharaj had come and he performed the yajna, and it was really wonderful ceremony. And then His Grace Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajanghri Prabhu visited us that time. They both graced the occasion. We were feeling so fortunate, and they walked up all the floors. They went to each and every apartment. So merciful, just like how Mayapur Dham is called as Audarya. That is the most munificent Dham, most magnanimous Dham. So these 2 brothers, they are so transcendentally magnanimous, so Audarya, that they came to each and every floor, for each and every home. They put the dust of their lotus feet at every place, and then they took prasad. And then after prasad, they were talking to both of us, and they were saying so many different things. They were always taking preaching reports from us. And while actually I was serving prasad, I was serving sweets to both the brothers. At that time, I brought Malai Cham Cham, this Bengali sweet, and I gave to Jananivas Prabhu first. And then Pankajanghri Prabhu said, "Oh, Jananivas, he loves Malai Cham Cham. You should give him 2." So I gave him 2 pieces of Malai Cham Cham. Pankajanghri Prabhu also took. Next, I brought some sandesh. So when I was giving the sandesh, that time Jananivas Prabhu said, "Oh, Pankajanghri loves sandesh, so you should give him more sandesh." I gave more sandesh to him. It was a very sweet, loving gesture between both the brothers all the time. So much of loving respect between both of them.
That time, I remember one time we were driving, and there is a juncture in Houston where there are several roads, several freeways joining together. And he looked at it and said, "Oh, this is spaghetti. These are spaghetti roads." I believe in, and then he said in London how there is a spaghetti junction there. And that reminded him of, these roads reminded him of that. So that was very new to me, to say all of these as spaghetti roads. And so His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu will be missed sorely by all the devotees in ISKCON. He would tell so many Leelas of Lord Nrsingadev. He would compile the book on Nrsinga Leela, on Ugrasthanu Nrsingadev in Mayapur. He would say, I call him Dr. Nrsingadev, because he has cured so many devotees that His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu had so much faith in Lord Nrsingadev. He would offer prayers on behalf of so many devotees to Lord Nrsingadev, and in this way he became his very dear servant. His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu ki jai.
And they were talking with us. They were telling us how we were giving them preaching reports. They were taking what we are doing, how we are doing. And they said to us that Lord Nityananda is so merciful that he is always looking for devotees who he can engage in their preaching mission, in his preaching mission. So if you are so eager for rendering service, why will Lord Nityananda not accept your service? So this was something that he said which really struck our heart so much. And Pankajanghri Prabhu especially said one thing. He said that this material world, it is always very challenging. This place is like a forest. It's a wild forest filled with wild animals who are always on the lookout for coming and stopping us, coming and creating obstacles. But we just have to depend on the mercy of Lord Nityananda that we can surpass this and we can continue our service for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So we beg at the lotus feet of His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu and His Grace Chandanivas Prabhu so that we can continue our service for their pleasure, for the pleasure of our spiritual masters. This is our only desire. And this vacuum that Pankajanghri Prabhu has left us with, depriving us of his physical association, we hope that one day that we will be again reunited with him in service. With this hope and desire, we put our plea in front of Lord Nrsingadev that he fulfills this desire of ours. Jai His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.